So please get a bit of pen and a bit of paper, sorry, and a pen. Good. And I'm also going to ask everyone to open up the chat function. So in your bottom bar, you'll see a chat function. If you can open that up, please. And just say hello to everyone to make sure that it's working. Type hello in the chat room just to make sure it's all working. There we go. Hello, everyone. Okay. So I'm going to ask you to type some things into the chat room today as well, just to keep it interactive. First of all, let me tell you, this is your session. You drive what you want me to cover. I've prepared some things that I believe will give you value as leaders, but I really want you to drive it to the extent that you want some questions answered about your current challenges. So I'm going to start off by saying, I'm really going to challenge you today, guys. I mean, I'm going to be showing you things you've probably never seen before. And it's probably going to be a lot to take in. But I know it will start your journey of asking yourself some serious questions about your leadership and how you lead others. So I want to ask you, do I have your permission to challenge you? If you can please type yes into the chat room. And I'm not going to challenge you live, face to face. I'm just going to show you some things that may challenge you. Thank you, everyone. That's really important. I will get time to ask questions, and I'm going to ask you some questions to begin with to go. But I asked this last time, is it okay to fail? Hands up, who's ever failed? Hands up, who's failed at something? You know, our programs, our Business Academy programs and Growth Academy programs, they're built upon things I've failed on and how I've then succeeded. So it's only in our failures that we actually learn the greatest lessons. So there is a type of failure, and the only true failure is a failure to participate in your own future. That is the only failure that exists. So can I ask everyone to please participate 100% today? You type yes in the chat room if you're going to participate. Please type yes in the chat room. Great, thank you. And that also means where possible, and this is your choice, guys, but where possible, it really helps me to see your face. So if you can turn your video on. It's your choice, though. You don't need to do that. But we can see everyone's face and help that. Claire, there we go. Justine, nice to see you both. Thank you for participating. Okay, let's start with a wee bit about me, and Jason heard this last week, so bear with me, Jason. I am a 57-year-old proud father and husband of 34 years. I love helping people. I love working with businesses. I love seeing people develop. There's no more greater joy in my life than to see business owners and leaders develop and flourish through that. And when I'm talking to business owners, I'm not talking about just their business. I'm talking about what they get out of their business. For most business owners, it's a vehicle to have the lifestyle they want to live. So a lot of it is about what you get out of your business. I started off in the corporate world, 20 years in the corporate world. I have project managed a startup of 3 factories in 3 continents, and one other one I took over, all turning over 125 million, all started from scratch. And that includes Micron and East Kilbride. I was one of 4 that started Micron and East Kilbride. I project managed the startup of the operations there. So I have literally built and led world-class teams across 3 continents. And I don't say that to impress you. I say that to impress upon you that in that time, I've made many failures. Many things haven't worked out the way I thought they would work out, but I've learned from them, and then I've applied those, and that's what I'm going to share with you today. That also meant my family lived in some fantastic places and had some fantastic experiences in different cultures. And in any business, it's the culture that really counts. And I'm not going to go into today too much, but it's the culture as the foundation of all teams and all businesses. And for sure, in the last 12 years, I've built 3 of my own 7-figure businesses, nothing to do with coaching. I've sold 2 coaching businesses, but I built 3 other businesses that are in the property development type arena, because I also love investing in property itself. And lastly, it's all about living life through your career or through your business. How can you create the potential to live life through your current business and achieve those dreams that you want to stay in the first place? My personal purpose, and purpose is so important, I'll come on to it a little later on, is to change the lives of millions through my ability to coach, teach, lead, motivate, inspire. Am I a coach? I'm a mentor, I'm a trainer, I'm a whatever it takes for our clients to succeed. I don't classify myself as any of those genres. One day I'm this, one day I'm that. It does not matter. It's whatever our clients need to succeed. That's what I help them. I've already published some books, and I'll need to publish more books to achieve my purpose, but it's in hand. Okay, so my company, if this moves forward, is actually Novo Leadership International. We work in 3 worlds: corporate world, SME world, and youth development world. I'm very much focused 2023 in the SME world, and that's what we're talking to you today. And we're talking, what I'm showing you extracts from a program called Business Academy that's had literally hundreds upon hundreds of business owners through that in the last 10 years itself. So every problem you've ever had has already been solved by someone else within Business Academy. If I spend the next 30 minutes giving you as much value as I can, do I have your permission to give me 5 minutes to tell you about Business Academy and how we're going to partner with the Bartonshire Chamber? Would that be okay? Do I have everyone's permission? Thumbs up to do that? Great, thank you. Okay, you ready to be challenged? Some wry smiles there is what I see. I promise you, we look at how you replace limiting belief with success habits. I promise you 3 brain hacks and 3 business hacks. So please hold me accountable to those if I do not deliver. You have my permission. I'm going to start off with what we all want. Any ideas what we're all after? Every single one of us are after the same thing. Any idea what it might be? You'd like me to share?
Success. Is it success?
Absolutely, Justin. Yes. You can't have a better quality of life unless you get success, correct? But we're all after a better quality of life. We're all after choices. Now, quality of life for Justine may mean something different to Chris than it does to Claire, but fundamentally, we're all after a better choice in our life. Can we all at least agree on that? Yes? Thumbs up? Brilliant. Okay. So the question is, how do we get a better quality of life? What do we have to do? Well, we need to get a better quality of results. Results create opportunities, create choices. So we need a better quality of results in our business and in our community. To get the results, you need to take better actions. From this moment forward, you need to take better actions to get those results. How do you take better actions? Well, you have to ask yourself, or you have to make a better quality of decisions. Decisions create actions, creates results, creates momentum, creates choice. And that's the key. This next line I'm going to show you is the absolute key if you want to improve as a leader. You must start asking yourself and others a better quality of questions. And that means taking a step back from situations and trying to see it from different perspectives. We normally only see situations from one perspective, and that perspective is, of course, our own. There's 4 different ways you can look at a situation. You can look at it through your own lens, you can look at it through the lens of the person you're talking to or dealing with, you can look at it through an interesting third party's lens, or you can look at it from above. And if these types of behaviours, leadership behaviours continue, then where's that timeline going to end up? So you need to start asking better questions. Very quickly, you need to create better beliefs and dreams if you want to start asking, because that's what will generate questions. You need to have a better quality of experiences. You know, all of our programs are designed to implement improvements and change. You do not learn from gaining knowledge. Through a program and just gaining knowledge is only potential. You must implement what you've learned to really, truly gain knowledge. And that's what our programs are built upon. That's why the Bartonshire Chamber are partnering with us to deliver these programs to its members. And then you need a better quality of knowledge and education. You need to re-educate, business re-education. Where do you actually go to learn how to learn a real world business? You don't. You fall into it because you have some kind of trade or skill or idea, and eventually you're trying to manage people, manage cultures, manage sales, get more profits. It becomes quite a crazy affair. and then you need a better quality of mentor teacher. So thank you for the next 30 minutes for allowing me to be your coach, teach, mentor. I don't care what you call me, but thank you. It's an honour to do that. Okay, here's some questions for you. We asked, what is it you want to talk about today? And one person came back to us and said, believing in your ability to be a successful leader, the very top line. And we'll certainly cover that. But what I want to ask everyone is, what of these other 5 is most important to you right now? And I want you to, each of you, put the number into the chat. You can put 2 numbers in if you want, but no more than 2. So which of these choices or challenges is perhaps most important to you right now? They may not directly relate, but they will relate in some capacity. So if you can type in the chat room, please, which ones are most important to you right now? Take you a minute to read them. Too much choice, perhaps. Maybe I should have got it down to 3. So Claire, number 1, okay. Chris, 1 and 4, brilliant. Rona, 3. Justin, 1 and 5. Okay. So lots of wins for sure. Helping me develop and build strong leadership skills and attributes so I can really lead my people. So I can truly lead my people. And Jason, yep, number 4, how do you create that succession plan? How do you create the opportunity for your team to step up so that you can one day exit from your business? And we look at 3 different exit strategies you can work towards and figure. So thanks. That gives my perspective. I can't go into depth on all of these guys, but what I've put together is a broad range of things that will give you some help in these different areas. Here's another question. What's the difference between leadership and management? And there is no wrong answer to that. There is no wrong answer to that. You could read 1,000 books and there'll be 1,000 different interpretations of what the difference is. So what's the difference between leadership and management? Anyone want to type or come in? Guys, there's only a few of us on, so you can unmute yourself and ask questions. What's the difference? No wrong answer. What's your interpretation? Any takers? Anyone brave enough to...
I would say leadership is, I don't know, I find that a more positive word than management. I just think it's more encouraging, whereas management says to me more about kind of solving issues and keeping people in line.
Yeah,
I would agree. It's like, I would see leadership as almost setting not a standard, but being a positive sort of role model.
Yeah.
What you want people like, rather than management sorts is a little bit detached for me, I would say. I'm a manager, but I still see the word as being quite detached from the kind of groundwork. I suppose they're sort of in the background, and leadership is they are sort of
Yeah. I don't disagree, Justin. Yeah. Is it Justine or
Justine?
Justine. Yeah. I've got a Justin and a Justine. Just want to challenge me, you guys. Yeah. Yeah, Chris has said management is more operational, where leadership is more concerned with delivering direction and culture. Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Chris. Everyone's right. I said there's no wrong answer to that. I want you to understand, though, is most managers also leaders? I mean, if they're a manager, you're kind of by default in a leadership position. Yes? In other words, you're managing people usually. Is that correct? Most managers are. Who's worked for a really good manager that's a really bad leader, or vice versa? I've certainly worked for a few. They're good managers, but when it comes to leadership, not good. Leadership is a behaviour. It is not a title or a position. So I want you to write this down. Leadership is a behaviour reflected in your team. Most people think I'm in a position of leadership because I have a management title, or I have a supervisory title, or I have an MD. Leadership is a behaviour reflected in your team. Now, here's my definition. This is what I've learned over the years, the difference between management and leadership. I'm not saying it's right. I can only share my experience with you. Management is all about processes. Management, and it's quite close to what Chris and what Justine and what Claire were saying retrospectively or indirectly. Management is all about processes. Leadership is all about people. It is all about people. People are the only living things in your business, whether it be your clients, your suppliers, or your team. Now, can I just ask, are there any aliens on the call today? No. I know Damon's not on, so we can exclude him, he's not here. But there's no aliens in the call today. So each of us are people as well. So we need to understand ourselves as leaders, and we need to understand how we can get the best out of others as leaders. But you need to become a people expert. If you want to lead, you need to become a people expert. If you want to manage, become a process expert. Does that make sense to everyone? Again, that's based on my experience. And it's in line, I think, with what everyone was saying. Here's another question to set us up. This is a leadership continuum. You go from somewhere to leading others to leading change. So what is the missing link? Most, in my experience again, most courses you go on about leadership is designed to teach you how to lead others. It's all designed to help you, giving you some models and some ways that you can lead others. But we miss out the most fundamental area that we need to focus on. Is anyone idea of what it is? What is the missing link there? What's that first button?
Ourselves.
Who said that?
Me.
Justine. Absolutely. You need to learn to lead yourself, first of all. If you want to truly lead others, you need to learn to lead yourself. And trust me, you know, when it comes to leading change, and I've obviously led some serious change in my career, everyone's against you. No one wants what you want usually when it comes to leading change, if you're leading serious change. Look, we're all leading change in our family. We're all trying to lead our family to have better lives, to have fruitful, honest, you know, productive lives. So we're all leading change. But if you truly want to lead change with lots of people, then you need to have a strong fortitude of character, because you're going to doubt yourself. When I moved from Micro and East Kilbride, I went over to Malaysia, and my remit there was to buy, we had 2 subcontractors, and we were bringing them, the idea was to bring them into one fold, and then half the operation moved to the Xiamen province in China. And I seriously doubted myself over there. I just came from a startup, tested the wave, I had a big S in my chest, I had a cape on my back, and it all fell away. You know, no one wanted what we were there to do, no one. And I began to doubt myself. And it was then, this is 2002, it was then I realised, wait a minute, you know, I need to work in me a bit more. I need to get these limiting beliefs, these self-doubts, these lack of confidence, this out. And I was an experienced leader at that point, and manager. So you need to start with leading yourself, and that's what we're going to focus on today. We're going to focus on leading yourself. I'm going to tie it in a bit to leading others, but that's what we're really going to focus on. So you go from independence to interdependence to intradependence. Interdependence is getting your team involved. Intradependence is when you really need to dig deep, because no one's going to want to change. Change is fearful. People are motivated by pain or pleasure, and we associate pain to change. It's just human nature. We follow the herd mentality. So we're going to talk about leading yourself today. Is that okay with everyone? Good place to start. Okay, who believes they are an amazing leader? Hands up, who believes they are an amazing leader? No one believes they're an amazing leader. If you don't believe in yourself, if you don't believe you're an amazing leader, then you ain't going to be an amazing leader. You may not reflect it in your behaviours and your character right now, but it starts with belief. So I'm going to talk about belief today. Another question. Who are you? So I want you all to draw a big capital E on your bit of paper. Capital E on your bit of paper. And this is just called your self-concept. Hands up, who's heard of your self-concept? No one. It's amazing. We can go through 14 years of schooling And for me, 37 years of business, almost 50, 57 I am now. And people don't understand the self-concept. Your self-concept is made up of lots and lots of micro self-concepts, many self-concepts. So in other words, Justine, you have a self-concept of yourself as a driver. And Jason has a self-concept of himself as a driver. And of course, men have a universally high concept of themselves as a driver. But we all have these self-concepts as a sister, as a brother, as a husband or wife, as a father, as a son, as a daughter, as a football player, as a confident leader, so it's all situational based. Leadership is situational, behaviors is situational. And you need to be present in the moment to understand what you're thinking about yourself in that moment. So your self-concept is made up of lots and lots and lots of many self-concepts, hundreds and thousands of them. So I want you to draw a self-concept that you see on the screen down the left-hand side. And the first element of your self-concept is called your ideal self. Your ideal self. The person you would truly want to be if you only believed you could be that person. The self-concept you have of yourself as your amazing self, that person you would love to be. It is you. It absolutely is you. You just need to cultivate that person. And that means you need to become aware of your ideal self. And I'm going to say your ideal authentic self. Because what we tend to do as humans is we assume an ideal identity based on what we think other people would like us to be. You cannot do that. You must assume an ideal authentic self. So one of the challenges is for you to really think about who is my ideal self? Who is my ideal self? What does my ideal self look like or act like, be like in different situations, especially situations where you are fearful, where you are lack of self-confidence, where you don't know how to challenge this person, where there's things going on. When you can create, and I can't give you some exercises today, guys, but contact me and I'll give you some exercises to develop that concept of your ideal self. When you have that clear in your mind, who your ideal self, what should you do? What should you do? Just be that person.
Yeah.
Act like that person right now. So in situations where you don't know what to do, where your lack of confidence or where fear's dropping in, or I'm confused, whenever that kicks in, you must become aware of it. In that moment, you must become present and aware of it. And then you can ask yourself a magic question. What is the magic question? It starts off with what would my
ideal self do?
Well done, Justine. What would my ideal self do right now? Does that make sense? So you need to cultivate that ideal authentic self. And that starts to drive everything. That is holistic. It's not situational. It's holistic. You can use that in any situation. The next part of the self-concept is called your self-image. How you see yourself in different situations. How much you think you're attractive to others. Now, we already know that no one thinks they're attractive because no one put their hand up earlier. You must see yourself as being attractive to others. The problem, this is really key to understand, no one put their hand up because we're conditioned in our Western culture to associate attractiveness to looking good, to the ideal body shape, face. That's how we're conditioned. You need to understand that we're conditioned that way. So it's not that, it's about how you see yourself in different situations and how you're in a reflection, you're in a reflection of your attractiveness to others. I'm going to give you a technique later on to cultivate that as well. The last one is your self-esteem. Big buzzword, especially in schools, your self-esteem. Anyone know what your self-esteem is? Self-esteem.
How you feel about yourself?
Yes, absolutely, Justine. It's how much you love yourself. And I don't use that term loosely. It's honestly how much you love yourself. And it's how you see yourself, how you feel about yourself in different situations. Now, should you love yourself? Absolutely. If you do not love yourself, then you need to start forgiving yourself for something in your past or things in your past. you need to start forgiving yourself for your past. It's in the past. You need to cultivate a love for yourself, because you cannot love others more than to the extent you love yourself. That's impossible. So let go of judgment of yourself for past situations and forgive yourself. Would anyone like a quick affirmation to do that? You want to share a quick affirmation? Does anyone know what affirmations are? Yeah, it's positive reinforcement talk. So before I share it, understand, if you want to know what your self-image is in this situation you're in, just start listening to your self-talk. Start listening to the voice inside your head and what it's saying. If it's saying, no, I can't do this, no, I don't believe this, no, if it's saying that, it's not actually you that's in control, it's your fear, and I'll show you what's in control in a minute. So become aware of your self-talk. What you say with emotional certainty will become your reality. No, I can't do this. This is what you're saying. No, I can't do it. What you say with emotional reality, with emotional certainty, becomes your reality. And if you want to become aware of how you feel, just become aware of your body. Emotions are outcomes of experience. So become aware of how your body's feeling. And how would you label it? Because that's how we're doing what we're labeling it. People who have the feeling of guilt, what that means is they've violated one of their own values. That's all it means. If you're guilty, then you've violated one of your own values, and you can't recognize it because you haven't articulated your own values, because you don't know who your ideal self is. Your ideal self is based on the values you want to live by. So here's the affirmation. It's a Hawaiian technique, and I use it quite frequently. So I want to, if you get into that situation where you're not forgiving yourself, there's something in your past, I want you to say this, and I want you to say it for the next month as often as you can to yourself. I want you to say this first of all. Please forgive me. Write this down. Please forgive me. Next, I'm sorry. Next, thank you. Next, I love you. Now, it doesn't matter who you're saying it to. Say it in front of the mirror with your smiling face. But say it to the universe, say it to God, say it to whatever. It doesn't matter whatever you want it to say. And you're not really saying it to yourself, you're saying it out there. Please forgive me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And say it with emotional intensity. That's one of the affirmations that you can use. Does this make sense, folks? Does this make absolute sense? I'm going to go deeper. Is that okay? Yeah. Okay. You asked for it. Okay. So what does a belief look like? What does a belief look like? Any ideas? Anyone saw a belief before?
It looks like what you want it to look like in your
Yeah,
head.
Great answer, Justine. Can I steal that?
Yeah.
Can I borrow that for future?
Yeah.
This is what a belief looks like. This is a synaptic cluster. And every time you learn something, experience something, your brain creates a new synaptic cluster if it goes to long-term memory, if that experience goes to long-term memory. And the more the emotional experience, the more it will go to long-term memory. So your brain builds this new synaptic cluster. That's not a belief yet, it's just a cluster. But if you repeat that same pattern and repeat that same experience, and you perceive you're going to repeat that same experience, that will grow into a cluster of synapses. And that becomes a habit of thought, habit of behavior, a belief, whatever you want to call it. And we recall every time we're in a situation that's similar to one we've experienced before, that's what we recall. We recall that belief. The problem is that belief may not be serving us. That belief may not actually be true. So I'm going to give you a holistic way of changing synaptic clusters, these belief clusters. Would that be beneficial for you? But you've built these synaptic clusters in the back part of your brain for years since you were born. They're just clusters of synapses, and amazing things happen. When you start to ask yourself better questions, you learn more things, which forces you to ask better questions. You start to question those beliefs, and when you can stop and rationalize them and think about them and look at different perspectives, you will eventually change your thought process. And over time, that cluster will get bigger and bigger and bigger, and it becomes a new go-to cluster. When you're going to respond instead of reacting, it goes to that belief that reinforces what you're trying to do. And our brain's amazing. Our brain starts to cut away the old cluster because it wants real estate. It wants to provide new synapses. It never goes away, that synaptic cluster, but it gets cut down. reinforcing the fact you're going to go to this new belief all the time. Make sense? Okay. I'm not going to ask you to respond. I want you to become aware which one you are. Do you react or do you respond? Most people react. They may not scream like this lady seems to be doing, but you react based on your perception. Someone's attacking you, you don't figure out the situation, the real situation at hand. So responsibility is your ability to respond. Stop, rationalize, think, look at perspectives and respond. And you respond by asking questions, especially paraphrasing questions, which we'll come on to in a minute. Okay, I'm not going to cover that. I'm going to go a bit deeper and I'm going to look at how you work. Guys, you probably never saw this before. I'm going to introduce you to your three selves that live inside your brain. Who's met your three selves that live inside your mind before? Anyone? Okay, I'm going to introduce you to them. It's really important. You work with how you think, how you act, and how you feel. And that's a reinforcing cycle. How you think, how you act, how you feel. And the emotions which we label are outcomes of experiences. But we use those emotions to prepare ourselves for what the next experience might be through our thoughts. You can move from independence to interdependence to interdependence, like we said earlier. That's your leadership cycle. You go from leading yourself to leading others to leading change. Your beliefs, your values, and your character. This is a cycle that we follow all the time. All we do is recall patterns. As humans, that's all we do. We just recall past patterns and repeat them. Some of those patterns aren't working for you and we need to replace them or override them. So I'm going to draw a picture of your brain, and it's a cross-section of your brain. So we're looking at your brain from the side. And the first one you're going to recognize, it's called your neocortex. It's the back of your brain. This is the back of your brain. This is where all your programmed habits and behaviors exist, the ones you're not conscious of. When I was a kid, swallowed a bone in a fish. And I had this limiting belief for years that I couldn't eat a fish and I was going to choke. That's not a real deep subconscious belief. That's not a deep non-conscious belief. It's a subconscious belief. When I saw a fish, I get the feeling of, oh, panic and can't eat that. But I became consciously aware of it because it's just under the surface. It's the non-conscious beliefs that happen all the time that you're not aware of, that we have to become aware of and change holistically. They may not be serving you. So all your programs are in here. When's the last time you focused on tying a shoelace? When's the last time you actually had to focus on tying a shoelace? It's just a habit. How many of you have driven to your place of work and not remembered how you got there? It's just a habit. Those all exist inside your program self. They're just auto programs. And 95% of the time, you're running from your auto programs, some of which are not serving you. This is your emotional self. I ask people, what does your brain look like? I get 5 different colors and I get 5 different textures. I've got blue, green, brown, pink. Trust me, everyone gives me different colors and different squeegee, spongy, hard, holy. In the middle of that big grey, blue, green squeegee bit is something called your limbic system. And that's your emotional self. And that's been in control since you were a child. Since you were a child, that's been programming your programmed self with all the fears and all the things that have been passed on to you unconsciously by your parents and by everyone else. When you first touched a candle and get burnt, you had an immediate reaction and immediately programmed yourself, do not touch fire. But the same happened when you had an emotional confrontation with one of your teachers. When one of your teachers said, you'll never be anything, or it doesn't matter. It had an emotional impact, therefore it's been imprinted. Your programmed self simply receives information and you act upon that information. That's it. How do we view reality, guys? How do we review our reality? Any ideas? How do we view our reality? What is it we use to perceive our reality? There's 5 of them. I'm doing one of them right now.
Our senses.
Senses. There's 5 senses how we perceive reality. Where do all those 5 senses come into? The thinking part of the brain, do you think? Because this part of the brain, your emotional self, has no concept of logic. It is simply pure emotion. Its job is to protect you at all costs. And that's why fear comes into it. That's why anxiety comes into it. That's why non-confidence comes into it. Its job is to protect you. It's doing its job. Its other job is to seek ultimate pleasure, which we know what that is. That's its job. Avoid pain, seek pleasure. Avoid pain, seek pleasure. If you're going into a situation where you're having to publicly speak, for example, which is one of the biggest fears, it's your emotional self that's kicked in. When you're going back into a situation that you had a strong emotional reaction to as a kid, that's going to kick in. It's going to be in control, and your programmed self will act accordingly. So it is the most powerful part of your three selves. The programmed self is just a slave. This part is your rational self. It's where we think, it's where our conscious resides. Our conscious resides on the left-hand side of this prefrontal cortex, that is our rational self. And rationalization itself is only useful when you ask questions against it, because normally we rationalize with our own opinion, with our own perception. Within our rational self also sits our ego, and that ego is in league with the emotional self. You have to transcend your ego and become get to a higher level of consciousness. Your ego is just after what you can get over everyone else. That's really what it's after. And we've all met some egotistical leaders for sure. So this is how you act, this is how you feel, this is how you think. All three are acting all the time. Your rational self, if it's in control, is sending new synaptic clusters, so is your emotional self. If you find yourself in a situation that you don't really want to be in, or you're not acting or behaving the way you want to, it is not you that's in control, it is your emotional self. Trust me. When you get to that stage and you're in those situations, what's the question you can ask yourself? What's the question you can ask yourself? How would my ideal self deal with that? You can also talk to your emotional self. Hey, calm down. Has anyone read The Chimp Paradox by Dr. Steve Peters, per chance? He talks about this. It's how he trained Chris Hoy. He talks about your emotional self being your monkey brain. And sometimes you have to feed it a banana, sometimes you have to cage it, sometimes you have to talk to it and calm it down. But you can do that. If you are doing something that you don't really want to be doing or saying, it's your emotional self that's in control. Just become aware of it and rationalize that situation. Pause, respond. Does that make sense to everyone? This happens every second of the day. Every second of the day. Okay, I'm also going to share one of your key radars, and it's your reticular activating system. Has anyone heard of your reticular activating system? Okay, this is really key. How many of you have bought a new car, whether it's a brand new car or a car that is new to you, and you've driven at the showroom and all of a sudden everyone else is driving the same car? There is literally hundreds of them on the road. Ladies, you can do it with a dress, or you've done it with guys, you've done it with training shoes. You went to buy this, and all of a sudden you see them all over the place. Anyone experienced that? Hands up, or something very similar? Absolutely. So your reticular activating systems sends through to your consciousness, and your consciousness can only handle a little bit of information at a time. I mean, a little bit. With our busy lives, we have less of an attention span than a goldfish. So your consciousness can only handle small snippets of information. Right now, I want you to become aware of your computer, the sound of your computer, or a sound that's outside. Or I want you to become aware of a pink elephant with blue spots. Now, that's all of a sudden became important to you. So your reticular activating system has filtered it through to your consciousness based on your self-talk or your reflection of my self-talk. And this is why goals do not work for most people, because they don't prime the reticular activating system to get to goals. So every day, you can prime your reticular activating system from your to-do list, and I'll share with you. In fact, I'm going to give everyone my to-do list, what I use, and it's priming your reticular activating system. And I'm going to give you a win log and a gratitude log, which again primes your reticular activating system. If you can keep a copy of your win log for a month and look back, you'll be amazed at what you actually achieved. Because most of us go home at night and say, God, what did I actually achieve today? If you keep your gratitude log, it is going to change your perception of you, and you'll start to love yourself a bit more. So I'm going to email everyone 2 logs, my to-do list log and how I use it, and the winning gratitude log. And that will start to set your reticular activating system. It's really important. If you want goals to work for you, then you need to understand and set your articulate. This is what I am doing today. This is my challenge today. I meditate every morning to set my RAS as to what I want to achieve that day. One thing, that's what I need to achieve this day, to achieve my quarterly goals, to get me to my life goals, to achieve my business goals. One thing, what's the most important thing? I set that, and opportunities will become apparent to you, just like the sound of your computer became apparent to you when I told you to look out for it. Does that make sense to everyone? And I'm not, listen, I'm skimming the surface. I honestly am, but I'm just trying to give everybody some value. And you'll walk away today and think, God, what was he talking about? Contact me. You're going to get a chance to come along to Business Academy anyway, so contact me and I'll give you some feedback. Okay, here's the leadership hacks. What do you need to do to be successful? What do you need to do? Who's got real clarity on what you need to do to be successful right now? We're just going to wind up. So I'm trying to bring it all together for you. Hands up, who's got real clarity on what you need to do to be successful? No one. Okay, I guarantee you've all got actions you want to take. I guarantee you've got a to-do list, or I know I need to do this next, or I need to do this for my customer. Everyone's got that at least, agreed? Yes? Okay, it's not about what you need to do. It's about who you need to be. You need to put equal effort into who you need to be. The fundamental truth of human psychology is that behaviors follow identity. Therefore, you literally need to upgrade your identity of yourself. Everybody else is so fixed on what you need to do. If you want to be a great leader, then you need to assume the identity of a great leader, coupled with your ideal self. Does that begin to make sense? You need to adopt the mindset, the action set, and the skill set of a great leader. Now, a lot of people talk about mindset, and it's really important, but what's more important is you align your skill set, your action set, and your mindset together. Action set being your behaviors. What you do, what you're doing is all extrinsic. Understand that. This is about leading yourself, not leading others. What you're doing right now is all extrinsic functions. It's about your behaviors, your persona, all the things you're working on for other people, other customers, whatever it may be. When you start working on your intrinsic character, which is who you need to be, you'll start to align your skill set, action set, and mindset. Behaviors follow identity. You need to change your identity, and you do that. How can you do that holistically? Remind me how you can do that holistically. I don't expect you to remember, but I want you to look at your self-concept. I want you to go back and look at your self-concept that you've drawn. That's how you do it holistically. We can change each one of your limiting beliefs one at a time. It'll take you 356 years. Anyone got that time available? Or we can change your limiting beliefs holistically. And you do that through working your self-concept. You do that through getting real clarity in your ideal self. You do that through visualizing how you see yourself. Visualize yourself in that situation, how your ideal client, how your ideal self would handle it and feel it. You need to rehearse you being your true you, being your ideal you in the future. So if you're going to a meeting that day, rehearse that meeting in your mindset. That's how we teach athletes. We teach athletes to rehearse them winning that race. I watched the Olympics. Before the Olympics, they followed 3 athletes, and one of them was a gymnast. And the camera crew, or the camera, the director got really upset because for the first 2 weeks, the gymnast just sat at the side of their foam pit and just imagined their routine. That's all they did. They filmed it once and they could do nothing for 2 weeks. And you can see the gymnast going up and down, and that's all they did. They visualized that for 2 weeks before they even started to work in their Olympic routine. They simply visualized it. You can do that in business. Okay, mindset leadership hack number 2. Who can tell me succinctly what type of business you're in? Who can tell me succinctly what type of business you're in? We've got an IT company, we've got training, I think, on board.
I'm in the charity sector.
Charity sector. Okay, no, you're not. That's what your business does.
Education.
No.
Education.
No.
No.
Every single one of you are in this business.
People.
There you go. Jason was here last week. It doesn't matter what your company does. You are in the people business. I said right at the very start, if you want to become a leader, you need to become an absolute expert in people. And that means starting to become an expert in yourself. You are in the people business. Your business does certain things, but you're in the people business. How well do you think you communicate? Out of 10, how well do you think you all communicate? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? Good communicate. Is communication important? Thumbs
Yeah.
up, absolutely.
I think it depends on who I'm communicating with, on how well I think I'm communicating.
Yep, absolutely. So what if, guys, it's not about communicating, it's about connecting. Communication is a function of talking and listening. Problem is, most people don't practice active listening. They practice hearing. And hearing's an involuntary, assuming you have that function available to you. So number one, it's about connecting with your customers, with your team, with your suppliers. How do you connect with them? I'm going to mention the word purpose, and I don't have time to go into purpose today, but I want you to write this down. You need to create a collective purpose to connect your team together. You need to create collective values to create a team. This is what I want you to write down. Performance is a byproduct of purpose. Period. In my experience, period. Performance is a byproduct of purpose. Most people and most businesses out there, their purpose is to turn up to get a wage and do as little as they can to actually achieve that. Because there's nothing else to focus on. There's a charity, Justine, I'm sure you've got a very strong purpose behind you. But for our business, you need to cultivate a shared purpose, a collective purpose to drive things with collective values. It's not about communicating, it's about connecting. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to start paraphrasing. So whenever someone says something to you, I want you to go back to them and say, pause and go back to them and say, so what I heard you say was, make sure you truly understand what people are actually trying to say to you. Otherwise, you're just using your perception and you're going to go back into that loop. Sorry, I just knocked my mic down. You're going to go back into that loop of following old patterns. So paraphrase. I also want to become aware of your moments of truth. The hack is become aware of your moments of truth. Those times when you have not acted in accordance with your ideal, authentic self. Those times when you have not really listened to someone. Those times when your fears kicked in. Those times when, you know, I don't know how to become aware of those moments in truth. Pause. How did my ideal self act? Go back. Does that make sense to everyone? Try to see how much time I have. Okay. 3 mindset leadership hacks. Everyone comfortable with that? I've kind of brought it all together for you. Yeah. The key is self-awareness. The emotional intelligence attribute I want everyone to start working on. Nothing else is self-awareness. Become self-aware of what you're thinking, what you're saying to yourself, what you're feeling. Okay. Everyone, or most people out there, 98% of people are stuck in this past present reality. You're simply going through the loop of recalling old paradigms, old beliefs that are not serving you. There's a lot of good beliefs in there. Okay. And everyone in this call, successful people, will have been on this call. But we're stuck in this past present reality. You can only ever consciously experience taking action or being in the present. We can't experience the past, it's in the past. We certainly can't experience the future unless it's in our minds, unless it's in our imagination. So the past and present is psychological dependent on your need to be congruent with how you identify yourself, which is determined by your past actions and experiences and paradigms. So you need to become the person that you truly identify as, not the person you currently identify as. They're just using that old recall, subconscious and non-conscious patterns. So how do you get into this future present reality? Your ideal self, the person you need to be doing the things you need to do more effectively. Now, the way you can do that holistically, and it's because your imagination, your subconscious, your non-conscious does not understand the difference between reality and imagination. You can rehearse yourself being grateful for situations that have not actually happened yet. And the more you do that, the more you will start to reprogram synaptic clusters that are not currently serving you. But you have to practice doing this. It has to be done every single day. Again, it's how we train athletes. If you want to know what I am that I feel I am looks like, here it is. I am, the conscious, higher conscious I am, feels I am. You're simply reprogramming yourself as your ideal, authentic self. I am that I feel I am. And when you do that, those synaptic clusters will start to change. You'll start to be more congruent with your ideal, authentic self. And you'll be recalling from a better past. This is really key. Goals, actually setting goals, is a function of creating a better past. You're always recalling from the past, but you're recalling from better past, more updated synaptic clusters, an updated version of who you identify as. Does that begin to make sense to everyone? Have I lost you, or have you got it? Now, it takes practice, but you can do it. You just need to take clarity in your ideal, authentic self. Okay, let's wind it up. So, the most underutilized business hacks, the most underutilized leadership tool on the planet are values. I said earlier, your ideal self is embedded in your values. You must have business values or charity values. You can hold people accountable to your business values. Just like you hold them accountable to a standard operating procedure, you can hold people accountable to values, and that's an incredibly important leadership tool. What if you can stop doing stuff and start doing stuff that really matters? Focus on what you need. So number 2, focus on who you need to be, not just what you're doing. There must be equal focus. And number 3, what if you could improve your business leadership opportunities by 10% in 10 minutes each day? Would that be valuable to you? Yes or no? Then learn how to set your reticular activating system. Anytime you focus on something, you will improve that something. Always, because you're focused on it. So set your RAS for what you want to achieve that day, that month, that year. Stick to days. When goals don't work for most people, there's only one proven goal system in the world. Does anyone know what the proven goal system is? Only one. Only one system in the world that's ever been proven to work. Does anyone know what it is? It's called Alcoholics Anonymous. What is their motto? One day at a time. So unless you know how to set goals properly and you're achieving goals constantly, don't set them in the future. Just set a goal for the one thing you have to do the next day, set your RAS for it and nothing else. When you achieve that, go and do things you need to do. One day at a time until you become more prolific at goal setting. Does that make sense to everyone? Thumbs up. Yeah, okay. So 3 brain hacks, 3 business hacks, and a few other tips in there that we got in there. Okay, choices, guys. In 6 months, most business in 6 months will be either surviving. There's going to be a lot more that's not surviving. That's the unfortunate reality of the business and living world, I guess, we're in. We want to get you to thrive. So we have a Thrive Business Academy program that takes business owners not to the next level. If you're on the bottom floor, we can get you 3 or 4 levels up. If you're in the mid floor, let's get to the top. Let's get you to the penthouse. Don't worry about getting to the next level. How can we take you and your business to whatever you want it to be in order to achieve the things you do? I can't do it in a week, a month. We can do it over the course of a year. 9 one-month programs that we're going to be running with the Dumbartonshire Chamber of Commerce. Just imagine if you can improve one thing in your business, one thing for 52 weeks. Just imagine where you and your business would be. Now, we've had hundreds of businesses do this over the last 10 years. I'm going to skip through some of these. The Thrive level is where we're looking at. It's part on live, part coach led. We're going to be running workshops 1 a month, and then you get access to our online programs and my team support to get you through those programs. Here's what the programs look like inside. They have been tried, tested, they work. They are step by step. What do I need to do to implement this to get me to where I want to go? They're not about learning. They're about supporting what you've learned to implement it. That's where you truly learn. It is CMI certified. It's certified by the Chartered Management Institute, and trust me, that's no mean feat. It's certified to level 5. You can become a level 5 certified chartered manager, and that takes a lot to get there. You can't do it in a week or a year, but it's certified, and we give a 300% guarantee, which you're going to find out more about from Damon. I just want to position it. Here's what one cohort achieved all that in the left-hand side of your screen. There's some of your stats that we've achieved from, I think that's 205 members. That's some of the stats. So it works. We can get you to where you want to go. I tried to put in some people from the local area that you guys may or may not know. Some big companies, some small companies. So you're going to find out all about it. I am going to follow up by email. I promised Jason, I am back in the country, so I am going to follow up by email. And I'm going to give you those 2 gifts, your WinLog and your RAS log, and your the to-do list. So, how are we doing for time? Because I don't have my watch on. We're 1 minute to go. 1 minute to go. Wow. Listen, is there any? You can follow up with me at any point. I don't know if I have. So it's Derek@novoleadership.com. Take my email. Derek@novoleadership.com. And you can go into fastforwardyourfuture.com to find out more about this. Guys, thanks. Is there any burning questions I can answer right now? Have I blown your minds? Are you still with me? As you know that scene from The Exorcist where the head starts spinning. I hope that's you, not you right now. I know you've not saw a lot of this stuff before. Any burning questions I can answer at the moment? Okay, so what I want you to do very quickly, I want you to type in to the chat the one thing you took away from today that you're going to implement. Type in the chat the one thing you're going to implement as a result of today. Not next week, not in a month's time, as soon as you possibly can. So type in the chat the one thing that you're going to implement. So one thing you've learned that would help make me a difference today in my business. Type that in the chat if you don't mind. Then we'll let you go. Self-belief, Claire. Yep, absolutely. Leadership is a behaviour. Absolutely, Chris. Connect better. Yes, George. Especially with a team. You know, if you have a team there, connect better. Jason. Yes. And remember, you can save the chat as well if you want to. Yeah, your ideal self, Justine, and well done. That is definitely a good place to start. Trying out affirmations. Yep, Rona, well done. I have a lot more affirmations that I can send you. I have a book of affirmations actually that you can get to. Trying out affirmations. Great. Well done, everyone. Thank you so much. It was my privilege and an honour just to share my experience for the last hour. I really hope it was valuable to you. Can I get a thumbs up if it was of value to you? I know your head's spinning, but you know, that's great. Great, thanks. Okay, everyone, I will, Rona will end the session now, and thank you very much.